at him now. You mentioned he is a player from Sweden. Let me let you sell out here, not just for a player, but for your country. What is about Sweden that makes just these amazing DPS players that we're seeing as of late? Like, what makes Kevster tick?
Horrifying an environment to go outside in. So we just stay inside and play video games all day. And urge to improve and hit headshots. So Kevster and Sharp doing a great job doing just that. Go Sweden.
Speaking as a Minnesota native, I completely empathize with all of that. I did not go outside much at all as a kid. And also, I believe Minnesota is the largest area of Swedish immigrants in the U.S., so I guess they wanted some place that reminded them of home.
Well, maybe I'll move there one day, CP. Who knows?
Let's just host an event there. I want to see Mitch freeze. But we are going to be seeing a huge swap-up coming up here from NRG. They didn't like what they saw. Kevster going to the Pharah.
Yes, but it is pretty late in the game. The point is going to open up, and this enables the Phase 2 squad to actually pick up the point initially here before Kevster has built any ultimates whatsoever. So it comes down to NRG. They need to find some kind of opening. Duplicate has overextended us this Reinhardt. They're actually going to pick him up. That's not what you want to see out of this Ghost composition.
And the damage boosted Pharah here for Kevster. It's rockets coming in fast and furious. And look, if you're able to land the rockets, it is a damage boost. Disruption coming in, and he knocks Insomniac off the map. That is really nice coming from Kevster, and he almost has a barrage. That could be the dagger in the heart here.
Yeah, and so the point is capped by Phase 2, and they have roughly 22%. But they're going to lose this fight, and it's going to turn over to the NRG squad. An overextension from Duplicate really opened that up. Kevster didn't have any ultimate charge whatsoever. He had just swapped to the Pharah. And then that's where you just have to be passive on the Ghost composition. You just have to buy as much time as humanly possible. But instead, Duplicate overextending. And that just gives NRG an opening on this anti-Ghost composition to win this fight so much earlier.
Kevster's doing so much shield damage with the new Pharah. Damage boosted rockets and new damage increase. Oh, comes in for the back. A nice angle for a barrage. Immediately eradicates Duplicate. And the D.Va just wasn't there to protect. Kevster saw the opportunity, and NRG's in firm control right now.
Yeah, and they only use that barrage as well as a Transcendence, but it's going to be a relatively cheap fight, you have to say. So Poise still has the EMP going into the next one. Insomniac still doesn't have that sound barrier to potentially counter that EMP. So NRG looking to close this map out early, we have to say, or this round early.
It's looking really good. They don't really have a great response here for Poise. Just gonna walk over, drop the EMP. They almost get the Reinhardt for free. They would have let them save it. And this is just pure control from NRG. You're going to see Phase 2 roll onto point. Now, they did get onto point. They're tankier. It's not a bad spot. The EMP came out, and NRG wasn't really there for the immediate follow-through. Insomniac almost down, but the healing is there. It's a tanky setup. And now you look towards Sinker. The Graviton's all set up. NRG, they're able to isolate Duplicate again. Duplicate gets knocked away from the Winston. Now suddenly NRG is looking way better.
Yeah, and you can't do much about the Primal Rage, but they're still in this. Kevster with the barrage coming out, gets picked up by Wood though. And this looks like a fight that is going into Phase 2's advantage. They did use a lot of ultimates by themselves, but just having control of this point, well, Fire and pops the Transcendence. Are NRG still in this?
I mean, they're trying to be. That seems a little bit risky. I mean, it will get them extra progress, but it wasn't really the best time Transcendence for winning the fight. If anything, you take a look at the flow of the game, it's giving a lot of power back over the Phase 2, so I don't think NRG really need to do that there.
And you can make a case for him wanting to get 99%, making sure it's only about one fight, but I don't think it's worth it. He is going to swap over to the Ana. I think you can't really make a case for swapping to Ana either. I think both work great against the Ghost composition. Discord Orb and Fire Grenade certainly both work, but we're going to see an engagement coming in with the Self-Destructive.
Poise just got bopped. Poise wasn't being stealthy at all. He just tried to do the old walk up at EMP, and Wub was having nothing of it. He dropped a beat on him. Wub maybe vaguely related to Dubstep. I'm not sure. Dubstep is not even still a thing. Kevster, though, down, and Phase 2 fighting back.
They are fighting back, so it's just going to go down to one fight, unless NRG goes for an extremely quick one. I think they have to get a good execution off now. They have to rely on Poise getting a sick EMP and follow it up with a Biotic Grenade from Byron.
Early grab going to be coming out here. Phase 2 doesn't want to let NRG set the tone, and they're able to get Winston early. The one upside is that the fight is over so quickly here that they will get one more opportunity, but I gotta say, Reinforce, does it come down to Poise here?
It does come down to Poise in many ways, because he needs to enable Kevster for the barrage, but instead it's like aggressive Self-Destruct coming out. He picks up Hello, I'm Halo as well.
That's a nice early pickoff. Mercy's out of the fight. Kevster down. And suddenly NRG, they have to just hope and pray. Poise has to go on to the point without the aid of his team. It's not his call because of the early pickoffs. And phase 2, gonna drop the beat in firm control on the point. As soon as they got back on, they've been dominating space. They deal with Poise over time and progress, but this is looking so good for phase 2. And NRG, they lost steam. Just miscommunications hurting them badly here.
Oh, absolutely. They take a very slow approach. I mean, they're just going to trickle down here unless we're going to see some huge takes. It's looking very good for phase 2. NRG get on the point. Hammond trying to make a case for it. It's not going to happen.
He can buy a little bit of time, but in the end, it's like, nah, it's not going to be a thing. And I would kind of reverse time here a little bit and ask you about what seemed to be the key fight is that NRG was one fight away, right? And Kevster was at a good spot, had good positioning, was laying in rockets. Poise had the EMP, but the EMP got delayed. I think Poise just got pushed out a little bit. And then he ends up EMPing in a case where his team can't really fall through. What do you do as a team when you have that big of a just swap in momentum? Because it seemed like NRG just couldn't recover from that.
They couldn't really recover, no, and it's pretty hard setting up that EMP. You have to, you know, excuse some of our players a bit. Insomniac with a sound barrier can easily negate it, so you have to make sure you get the Lucio as well. And so it buys a lot of time for phase 2 to execute the way that they want to with that dive composition, but matters not for NRG. We go again on Control Center.
And we go with a Doomfist and a May. I don't know what you call a composition based around freezing people and punching them. Maybe a good old Minnesota-Sweden brawl is what I'd call it. Insomniac, though, down early. Poise working on the outskirts, gonna punch Brigida. Going for the finish, gets stunned right out of it, though. Brigida fighting back. The support's fighting back on Poise, but it's not quite enough in the end. He might fall, but the damage is certainly done. And it's gonna be NRG taking first control.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a 900 IQ composition coming out. This is something we've seen in the past from a lot of teams in this map on Control Center, especially I have seen them in scrims, where you have a Mei and you can create your own wall for the Doomfist. And so the Doomfist has a lot more opportunity to get good rocket punches off. And so Kevster just has to nail these Mei walls, in my opinion. He's going to be the key to winning this.
Well, you got the wall, you isolate the Reinhardt. Duplicate, though, was able to stay alive long enough to get healed. They punish Poise. Poise thought he had a good thing going. Instead, just ends up falling. Reinhardt down. And even with the Mei wall, NRG unable to take advantage, and now they're in hot retreat.
Yeah, and I don't think they have to be that aggressive. Kevster's still alive, so he still can get good walls. They're going to non-boost Specs as well, and that Zarya is going to do a lot of damage.
NRG, respawn's coming back in. Kevster goes for the wall again. Gonna be freezing some people out, getting the double freeze, and NRG able to fight their way back into that. And I gotta ask, what was the key factor, and why phase 2 couldn't turn that one to their favor after 2 early pickoffs?
Well, you don't have a lot of reach with this Ghost composition. You have to remember, they're very good at fighting up close, swinging the hammer. But then when the speed boost runs out, you can't really reach and clean up the kills necessary. Kevster stayed alive for a very long time, and he bought time. But now, we see them go again.
Early grab coming in here. Sinker gonna drop one of his own. Doesn't get anyone in it for phase 2. Specs, meanwhile, got quite a bit more. And Specs continues to pile on. 3 takedowns for Specs, and that is NRG in firm control here, 80% to 0.
Yeah, not the greatest ultimates coming out from phase 2 either. Sinker doesn't get anyone in the Graviton Surge, and we're going to see one final fight. This is the push that phase 2 has to win. We have the Nonable stuff, and Duplicate needs to hit a huge shatter.
Wub gonna use the rally, armor going down. Wub still alive, poised with the punch.
Oh, you're frozen!
Drops it! Takes down 2! The sleep setting him up, and that's a nice meteor strike from Poise, and that's gonna be NRG taking the control center in style.
Yeah, that was a huge shatter coming out from stand 1. And also, I gotta give some credit to Kevster, because Duplicate was about to use his Earth Shatter, but got frozen mid-animation. That was the first for me. I've never seen a Reinhardt get frozen mid-animation of an Earth Shatter himself. But at the end of the day, just great execution coming out of this NRG team with the Mei using the walls optimally, and Poise getting a lot of value from Doomfist.
Do you think there's any hidden synergy from a Swede playing Mei? Something about, you know, channeling the powers of ice, being from a frozen area of the world?
No, I think more matters if you're proficient in memes, because if you like memeing, I think Mei is perfect for you.
I mean, look, you troll enough ladder games with May, eventually you actually become pretty good at the hero. Who knew?
Yeah, so maybe Kevster is a great memer. Who knows? Suddenly shows some great May skill.
You know what? Everyone can channel their own inner arts here. You just gotta believe.
There you go.
I don't even know if he's still doing that, but after he quit Overwatch, man, his Twitter account, it was fire for a while. But
his memes
NRG,
will be missed.
They will. Well, Team Germany alumnus, but NRG under a bit of pressure here, but Insomniac went way too deep as Lucy. I'm not sure what he saw there, but what he ended up getting was pure doom as NRG turns back in. They lose to Brigida, which is going to hurt their sustain, but enough damage has been done here that they're just going to be able to roll on to the point.
Yeah, so goats versus goats. Not too complex CP, it's very straightforward. But it comes down to the biotic grenades. Moore and Byram, they need to find good biotic grenades to open up these fights for their teams to ensure that their Rhino can walk forward without being biotic grenaded themselves. And so it's going to be a bit of a tempo shift in these fights. We're going to see them battle back and forth, trying to find openings, and that's an opening for sure.
Smex is down early, but they're going to invest. NRG drops the Shatter off the Nano Boost, but the Graviton coming in stops Stan from getting much of anything done. So those ultimates essentially being used for naught. Phase 2, finding the better of it in this Goats v Goats gameplay, and again the point. And you know what's interesting about Goats v Goats Reinforce? It actually puts Reinhardt ahead of the game in terms of reworks, where, you know, a hero gets reworked and they get their ultimate as an ability. Earth Shatter is basically an ability in these compositions.
Essentially, yeah, because you have so much damage to deal in these compositions. And I think the NRG is going to have a good chance of winning this fight as well. Poise with the Graviton Surge can find some good value. Kevs are using the rally as well, trying to survive for a bit longer. But it's a huge shatter!
Duplicate got 3, and there is no chance. Poise throws away the Graviton into nothing, and that is so good coming in from Phase 2.
It is really good coming in from Phase 2. They had a lot of ultimates to work with, and they capitalized and got a great shatter. So now they're going into the next fight, and they do have the Diva ultimate up, and they do have a Transcendence up. I'd like to see them make a play with the Diva bomb here. Either set up Wub for a great Brigida stun, or Duplicate for a great charge. You know that NRG is going to have a few ultimates of their own. You have to be aggressive here.
Phase 2 deciding to not be super aggressive. In fact, they're going to be going back, but I think they're just trying to buy time for Sinker to get the Graviton here. They're waiting for it. 97%, 100 energy. He is ready to go. Got to drop the grab, and it's just everyone stuck around and split up. What a nice Graviton coming in from Sinker. They isolate the Reinhardt. They're not able to get as much after, but they're still getting best more. They have the Transcendence. They have a barrier in reserve, and off the Transcendence, they just dive on in. They're going to get the DMAC on the Smex. Not quite yet. It's a good turnabout here from NRG. Now they're coming back the other way. Self-destruct in from Smex as Stan drops the hammer, and down goes Sinker.
And there's just so many ultimates coming out from both teams in Phase 2, trying to solidify themselves on the point, but Smex getting a few picks here, and NRG looking to be in great shape.
NRG getting back onto the point. And don't forget, this is the fight they had to win here, Reinforce. They could have very well have just fallen here in Lijiang, but they are going to come back in. They get control, and now 32%.
Yeah, and we're seeing both teams running Zenyatta now instead. Both teams swapped away from the Ana. And as I said earlier on Hollywood in our last series as well, you want to play the Zenyatta for the Discord Orb. It makes it so much easier. But that means that these compositions are going to be a lot more cautious. You want to bait out the Star Bubbles and then allow the Discord Orb to do work. So let's see which team can get the picks first.
NRG is going to retreat a little bit, and they're going to try and do the same. The Graviton directly on the middle. If the fall through going to be there, Stan falls immediately, and the offensive Phase 2 able to deal quite well. Transcendence up later in the fight, both Zens transcending, but Poise knocked off the map. Got a little bit too far back. Insomniac able to punish, and he gets another, dropping Byram to the pavement. The Lucios are on a rampage on both sides, but it's Phase 2 on top, and this is going to be Phase 2 taking map 1 away from NRG.
I wouldn't have thought that actually Phase 2 was going to win this map the way NRG looked to play this map early on, but great play from them on this night market map. We saw both teams coming up with goats. We saw some adaptation in terms of the flex support swapping to the Zenyatta. And overall, if you get more value from your ultimates, you're gonna win these games, CP.
Yep. And certainly Phase 2 did here, and look, I mean, you kind of talked about in the outset, right? That this is a meta that's pretty heavily based around Goats-esque gameplay. Also, we have the actual Goats team playing, so a little bit of throwback to the past, but Phase 2 just looking more adept at it. than NRG here, where, by the way, slight mini tangent because this is an online tournament and we could do these things, is that NRG put out a cheeky video a while back saying, oh, all esports casters have it wrong. Our name isn't NRG, it's Energy. It's like, no,
Energy.
you shouldn't. It's
Wow.
like, your name is NRG.
debated.
That it just simply does not sound like Energy. If you wanted to be called Energy, you should have called your team Energy. Instead, you called it NRG, and thus to this day, that is what you are, NRG. Do not blame the casters for your fault in brand.
I can appreciate what they're trying to do, though. They're trying to make. I don't know the phrase. If Mitch was here, he'd say something really smart, but I can't come up with it. I can see where they're going though with the NRG, but nah, you're not getting the energy from me, man.
No, absolutely not. Look, I mean, it's one of those things where you were really close, but really close doesn't actually mean you accomplished your goal. Now, that said, in the game of Overwatch here, it's interesting to see NRG struggle a little bit in running the Goats v Goats setups. And I would say if you're looking at areas where I think things were a little bit rough, is that it did feel like that in terms of pickoffs, that even though they at times were able to isolate duplicate, it felt like there were plenty of times here for NRG where they would just lose someone early in the fight and just struggle to recover.
Yeah, they did, and I don't want to partly put blame on anything, but you have to recognize that they're playing with Kevster and Smex, who are back in Europe as well. Ping doesn't matter as much in Ghost composition, so I don't want to hand them, an excuse on a platter, but that's going to be an issue. But we also have to remember that was NRG's map pick, I'd like to believe as well, Lijiang Tower, and so going down on your own map pick is going to be rough.
Oh, absolutely. And also, I do think that it was also NRG's server pick. I think the way that the rules of the tournament go is that if you pick map, you also get servers. So now NRG, they're still going to be the same. They're picking this map because they lost. So it's still going to be their server. But going forward, the real issue for them is going to be is that even if they come back and win here on Hollywood, they're not going to have that luxury as they go to a map 3. So it's definitely a hole for them to climb out of.
Yes, it definitely is. But again, we've seen these players play so well in the past. Poise, certainly a name you need to be aware of. So they have the skill to really win this series overall. But the way Phase 2 are looking, it's a lot more even than I initially thought, to be honest.
Well, it's interesting too because there's a lot to be said for the path to pro and teams being made, and I do think there's sort of a conception in the Overwatch community that's like, well, you're not on an academy team, there's no way you could compete, and even if Phase 2 was to lose a series, right? The fact remains that NRG is an academy team with all the backing and support thereof, and look, they just dropped a map to a team that is comprised of players that are grinding the way through programs like Open Division. So it does mean that there is opportunity there if you build the right team and you go forward. It's already a nice showing here from Phase 2, regardless of the rest of the series.
Oh, and this is not the time where you want to ruin your reputation or, put doubt into the NRG management either, because a new season of Contenders is coming up, and this is the season, CP, where a lot of the roster changes are going to happen, and so this is where you really need to show that you're worth your money and that you should have a spot on an academy team.
Yeah, I mean, this is also the time of opportunity, right? Where you do have a lot
sure.
of the old guard stars that have disappeared, but that also means that if you were next in line, this is kind of your chance to make your mark on the T2 scene, not only to look towards Overwatch League season 2020, but look, as we mentioned, even if most of the teams now are probably filled up, there is mid-season signings, right? Like the reality of any form of sporting event, then Overwatch is no exception, is that you're going to get to the mid-season and some teams are going to be bad. They're going to be real bad. And what are they going to be looking to? They're going to be looking for help, and they're going to be looking to programs like the Tier 2 scene to get that help so the fans don't go, wow, I really don't want to support a team that is 0-19 right now. Can you please pick up a win? But now we look into Hollywood, and Kevster looking to be coming out here on the McCree.
Yes, and this is his special pick, his go-to pick, you have to say, the McCree or the Tracer, or the Widowmaker for that matter, being a hit scan specialist. And we also talked about this previously on Hollywood, that this is a good map for McCree and Brigitte composition, but it might as well be countered if Duplicate is going to stick to this Orisa.
Yeah, you mentioned the counter here, so that delve again a little bit deeper into that is that you have a double hit scan set up going up against the Orisa shield, and
Yeah.
you know, really, what has to happen for that even to work?
Well, you have to somehow get past your Orisa shield. It's going to be hard to spam it down because essentially as you get in line of sight of the Orisa shield, that's also going to put you in line of sight of the enemy team. That's how it works, right? So you want to get past this Orisa shield optimally to allow your McCree to do work or your Brigitte to do work. You could maybe go on a flank, a wide flank, go into the back of the cafeteria all the way around. That's certainly possible. But otherwise, it's going to be really hard to actually get any kind of value with this McCree Brigitte composition. And they're standing around for a bit. I think they're actually thinking whether they should swap this composition or if they're going to commit to it.
I feel like they're vaguely committed by going as deep as they went, and
Yeah.
nope, they're going to be going for the high ground, so they still want to make this work. We'll see Kevster, of course, here on the McCree, staying on the high ground, and NRG just waiting to decide how to go in, but it's not really a coordinated attack onto the cafe. Winston went in way before Kevster even could have started landing some shots, so NRG is looking a little bit discombobulated, but now they're starting to roll onto the point.
And the name of the game is point pressure here, because NRG, they want to put pressure on the point and force phase 2 to drop down. Duplicate is going to contest it, but it might not be enough. NRG actually has a very solid hold here. None of us comes out.
They've given up 2 ticks on the point for the defense, and NRG slowly but surely, they have gotten the better of this. Wasn't super pretty, but the Orisa gonna be forced back. Kevster now plenty of room to work with as the defense is down players, and now he's deciding, do I want to flank? Do I want to go for the Deadeye? Yeah, no, I'm gonna go for the Deadeye. Not really flank required. Waiting for the Transcendence. Doesn't quite time it in time, but the defense here is just thrown on back. Wub wasn't really able to get the value out of the Junkrat that you'd want here. Moving in a little bit later, Duplicate's down, Self-Destruct picks up 1, but now as Wub moves back in, Kevin might have bought some time.
Oh, they bought a lot of time for Sinker to get that Dragon Strike up as well as the other ultimates, and you're going to invest a lot on the defensive side, but at least you secured the hold on point A for now. And so NRG are not going to be happy with that. They could have pushed the advantage a bit earlier, maybe used that Transcendence a bit earlier to make sure that they really got point A. Oh, they actually find a pick on tomorrow. That's so huge. The Discord Orb is not going to be there.
Wub has to get big value off the tire. Gets nothing! Absolutely nothing coming off that tire. That was the exact opposite of what needed to happen there. Phase 2, stuck in the cafe. Only 1 tick to give, and NRG, they're giving up nothing. They rotate into the cafe. They evict everyone from it. They claim the lattes for themselves, and this should be point A going to NRG.
But again, you only invested the Rip Tire. You're going to swap away from the Junkrat anyway, and given how the previous fight went, I think you're still happy about just delaying for as much as you did on point A, right? So, then again, a good defense.
I think eventual wisdom in Overwatch is you hold point A for 2 minutes, you can feel good about it. Doesn't really matter what the map is.
Now we're seeing McCree and Brigitte coming out. This is what I talked about, a great map for this composition, and so mirrors all the way. And that means that Smex is going to have the advantage with the self-destruct, and maybe if he can find any value, but it's going to be Sinker instead, pushing forward on the McCree, getting 2 picks.
And after they get those pickups, you just see the change in tempo as they go even more aggro. Sinker, with all this warp behind them, wins the Cowboy duel between Kevster, and not just dominating coming in from phase 2.
Yeah, they're backing off a bit far here, because something we did in the World Cup, me playing for Team Sweden versus Denmark, we like to hold close here because it's so hard to get out of spawn, but instead, they're going to let NRG out of spawn here. That allows Byram to find a pick on the Sinker, and now suddenly the fight is in NRG's favor.
Deadeye coming up here, Kevin de-invests a self-destruct, and nope, decides not to. That is a full fight in for NRG, and just the difference of getting that early Zen pick off, it's so impactful. And, you know, we talk about players like Jonek a lot. Byram doing his best impersonation.
Yeah, and this is where you really show the difference in play between Overwatch League and Contenders, I think. Neither of the teams really pushing forward and making it hard for the other team. Instead, they're letting now phase 2 just push up and get space in this McCree Brig competition, and that means that they're going to take the initiation, trying to find picks early.
Well, we're going to have Stan come in here at the Primal Rage for NRG. He's trying to disrupt the defense as they go back in. Smex holding on to the point, not really investing too much here. Decides to dive on in with the rest of his team. So far, it's been relatively bloodless, but Sinker finally taken out. But Poise falls as well. You lose for Gita. It actually gets very precarious given how much he gives to his setup. The defense has been able to rotate over to the payload, and NRG looking at it slightly confused.
Now you have to play a lot slower, you have the Widowmaker, you need to find some picks, but you don't have the sustain of the Brigitte. And so Stan has to take it easy. Can they find anything with the self-destruct? It's good, but Woob is going to block it, and the phase 2 gets their own pick.
Yeah, between the two teams there, the self-destructs went far more in favor of the defense. Phase 2, gonna take advantage of that, start pushing energy back, looking for stagger. Specs hoping, like hope, to keep his Vec down, but Winston in hot pursuit, gonna get DMAC'd. An even bigger stagger coming in here from the defense.
Yeah, but he just used his self-destruct, so he's just going to suicide. You hate to see it. He was just dying easily in the fight, so he used his self-destruct there, but I think it's a bit to a fault of NRG there. They couldn't win that fight. Let's see if they can find picks, but I'm looking out for phase 2 to just speed boost into NRG in this fight. They recognize they don't have the long range potential, so they're just going to play aggressive.
Stand almost got bopped immediately. Heavy focus fire from phase 2. Transcendence keeping them alive. And it's Transcends v Transcends here, so it's going to be a bit of a wash. Duplicate under fire. Primal's just in the nick of time, able to keep himself alive. NRG trying to explode out the gate here, but Duplicate buys time. However, Sinker got caught. Now they're not going to have the McCree damage in the back. NRG getting close to what they want victory-wise. Kevster through to work with, and this is looking good for NRG.
Absolutely it does, but they used 4 ultimates there, or 5 even. They started the fight using the double support ultimate, so if I'm phase 2 now, I'm not even that mad. Honestly, you managed to get NRG to use both their support ultimates. That means you're going to have an easier time pushing out of this choke and contesting the payload. And so they have a pretty good opportunity to actually get this payload control back and push NRG back.
And they're going to be able to open up with the rally, so everyone's going to have the armor. They're going to get the opportunity to stack on up, and they're still fighting mid-rally. NRG has to back up a little bit and give it room, and, you know, to your point, they have to look really for NRG without the ultimates. They need the pickoffs either from self-destruct or the Widow. They got the Widow pickoff, self-destruct, layering into the back. Is it going to get anything? No, not quite yet, but with 2 early picks from NRG, they're in a good spot.
They are in a very good spot, and it should be clean up from here if Kevster can find more picks. It is going to be a bit back and forth, though. Insomniac and Kevin still contesting the payload in overtime, but they are going to get cleaned up. And what seemed to be a fight, they could have pushed back and actually made a push for it. Instead, it's just going to be Kevster on this Widowmaker doing work.
Kevster was feeling himself for a moment, taken out by more towards the end, but NRG, they only have a minute left for third, and third could be difficult for offenses here.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, especially playing this Widowmaker. Kevster is going to pick Infrasight in spawn. Kevster is going to swap hero, because he doesn't have the same sight line. He's going to swap to the Zarya, a stand to the Reinhardt. So a bit of a ghost composition here, but granted, you're playing the Zenyatta, you have the Transcendence up. That's mighty fine. That's good. Going to be very useful going to this next fight. But then you don't touch the sustain. So, oh well, counter Ghosts as well. Ghosts all the way, CP. Take it away.
And they're getting into it. It is Zenyatta's transcending into each other. Both teams praying as the Reinhardt swing the hammer. Pandemonium. Where is it going to end? But the rally is up for NRG. It does give them a pretty big edge in survivability. That's why you're seeing them push back in to the phase 2 side, but they can't get away from the self-destruct. Kevin's bomb able to give the key man advantage in phase 2. That's why they're pushing back the other way. They don't really care about the rally anymore. Poise is going to fall, and NRG's in hot retreat.
And this is what I talk about. It comes down to the very small details and the small plays. And right there, we see that Woob hits a great Brigitte stunt to set up Kevin's D.Va self-destruct. So great self-destruct coming out from Kevin, but credit to Woob for stunning stand 1 and making sure they got a pick from it.
NRG gonna move in. Sound barrier at the ready. Halo getting ready to drop it. Graviton is up past the barrier, keeping people alive. NRG, last gasp, moving on in. Duplicate though, holding on to the shatter. Is he gonna drop the hammer? Knocked on down. Barrier's still up. Waiting. Drop the hammer. Huge! Fix down 4! What a hammer by Duplicate! And phase 2, holding strong in the face of NRG.
Absolutely massive, and they're going to use the Transcendence as well. This should just be clean up. And wow, like, they just keep making play after play, and they really bring it to NRG. So impressive.
Oh man, that was poetry in motion. Just looking at Duplicate, it's like, you know what? If he can stay alive, the barrier kept him in there. And no one was prepared when he dropped that hammer right to the floor.
Oh, that was so good. You love to see it. Just like that. That's the peak Overwatch right there, CP. What do you say?
That is fantastic. I would actually just ask you, is that if you had to rate that, what do you rate that shatter?
Oh, for sure. That's a 12 out of 10 right there.
It breaks the scale.
It turns the tide of the fight. It's huge. It's massive. It gets tons of people on the ground right there. So, yep, 12 out of 10 CP.
You know, if you had such a thing as an Overwatch demo reel of like good plays that you send to GMs that, you know, maybe they're getting new to the game, they figure, what is a good Ryan player? Is like, just look at this. Look at how I just dumpstered an entire team. Sign me.
I'm not sure you can take one highlight. I don't think that's enough, CP, but I mean, if I did that, I'd be on Overwatch team straight away, but
I mean, it's marketing. Over here. It's just about how you market yourself.
Sure, yeah. That's a good recognizing that. Can't take marketing away from it.
Like that. We live in a multifaceted industry. You have to look at all the different... It's not just about how you play, but we're going to be taking a look here as the rounds flip. Phase 2, setting up on the attack, and they're going to be running something, again, pretty tanky, pretty divey. Yep. McCree in the back.
So we'll see how they set up this. We saw that NRG struggled a bit on the offense, playing this Brigitte and McCree composition. They made it work, however, so you got to give some credit to NRG, but we got to see how much pressure they can put on the point. Phase 2, that is. Or nope, they're just going to swap. Goats! Here comes the goat, CP. They're swapping. Okay. Here they go.
Can we give them credit for... Wait. It's not goats.
Oh, it's Farah!
It's not goats! It's not goats! Poggers! Whoa. Let's go!
Poggers, dude.
Oh, man.
I was a bit confused because Moore was staying on the Zenyatta, and then they opt for this Farah Hanzo composition instead, and it has a lot of shield breaker potential. Ooh. But screw the shield, let's just get picks instead, CP. Let's just win the game.
Storm arrows applied directly to the forehead. Rockets apply anywhere. It's good damage coming in from Wub. This cafe, it's no longer safe. Phase 2, Coach Michael does it again. They are going to run over and take point A.
They didn't leak that strat, that's for sure.
Oh, man. That is excellent coming in from Phase 2.
Oh, absolutely. And now you're in a pretty good position. I would like to say, despite NRG, despite the fact that they lost that cafeteria fight, because they died so early. So ironically, they're going to have the positional advantage going into point B. So they have Kevster up on the high ground, as well as Poise being able to drop down and get a good hack off. But it's going to come down to the Widowmakers. Can Sinker find the shot on Kevster, or is Kevster going to push him back?
We'll have to see. Kevster's certainly no slouch in the Widow game. NRG hoping to get a bit of normalcy here. They definitely need to make up time because they got absolutely dominated at point A. Nice hook shot right into Sinker. And Kevster definitely going to give NRG a little bit of momentum here. But with the res up, it's not the reprieve that you'd normally want. Got to do it again.
But now it comes down to the mental factor as well, right? Because Sinker got picked once. You don't want to get picked twice, CP. That just makes you sad. But instead, it's a bit of a ground fight coming out with Transcendence coming out from both teams.
Yeah, and Kevster doesn't have the greatest sightlines here as this went on either. Sinker was just able to focus on the ground, picked off Poise. Easy man advantage here for the offense, who, again, the pressure isn't really on them here. They're not the ones down a map. They're not the ones down in time. They just get to casually roll on forward.
Exactly, but still, NRG with the high ground, and that just, you can't underestimate that fact. Kevster's going to activate the infra side. We're going to see a Seltzer truck coming out from Smix as well, so NRG really trying to win this fight.
Well, both Widows going to be trading out there. It was walls v walls. Poise going to drop the hack on the Kevin on the backside. Looking to get the DMAC, or at least just build a bit of charge. 86%. And NRG, they have bought some pretty crucial time here, but still 4 minutes to go.
Yeah, it's still 4 minutes. I was just about to say that they bought some time, but it's 4 minutes remaining. So time is really a non-factor until it comes down to 1 or 2 minutes. So, you know, Sinker swaps away from the Widowmaker, recognize that Kevster is above his league. But now they're just looking to set up Wub on this Dragon Blade. More nowhere near Nana though, so it's going to be a empty-handed Dragon Blade.
Well, Poise got the hack off there as going to have EMP for the next fight. Wub really not wanting too much of it. Certainly doesn't want to throw the blade into an EMP, but we're going to see Phase 2 setting up a little bit spread out here. Nano Boost is used really early in the fight with NRG without much impact. Self-destruct now up. Wub moving in off it with the blade. So far, though, it's a bit discombobulated.
Yeah.
Self-destruct doesn't get anything, and neither does Wub. Completely alone. That simply was not what they were looking for there.
Exactly, and as you said, it's a bit chaotic going into that fight for phase 2. They had the Dragon Blade up and Moore was nowhere near the Nano Boost. But then when Moore finally gets close to that Nano Boost, they still opt to use the Dragon Blade, and then you just ruin your ult economy. So now, phase 2, 2 minutes, 45 seconds remaining, and they're not in the greatest position to actually get their ultimates online to use them, combine them, and bring this NRG defense down.
Yeah, they're going for a wide-scale swap up here. Sinker going to be going to... Oh, no. No, we were so proud of you earlier in the game.
Boy.
What have you done?
Here we go.
Anti-poggers.
Well, it's goats on point B Hollywood, so it's not going to be that effective. It's going to be very hard to catch anyone at all. They're just going to move to this payload, try to get as much push as possible, and force NRG to make mistakes. Can they find picks onto Winston and Divas? That's going to be crucial key.
Yeah, it's just weird. You're running this is similar to situations you're running goats at point 2.
Oh boy.
It's not great. The specs finds 2. The self-destruct drives deeply into the back. And yeah, I mean, I'm right here with you on your analysis is that you're running goats into one of the highest verticality areas in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bold move, Cotton. Bold move.
It certainly is a bold move, and the way NRG are playing, there's no way of slowing them down. They're going to have the EMP up for the next fight. They're going to have double support of them with Byram, using the Transcendence, and Hello I'm Halo with the Nano Boost. So NRG has all the tools in the world. They have the high ground versus Ghosts. It's going to be rough for phase 2 going into this fight.
Kevster, meanwhile, so much room to work with this Widow. Doesn't have to care about anything. Poison EMP makes it easy pickings as... I'm not sure phase 2 actually tried the fight there. Wub has just tried to push a car or pull a car from the hood, where I didn't realize Brigitte had that level of physical strength.
Well, you know that they have that NRG has so many ultimates up, right? And so you go into this fight and you don't expect to walk away with the win necessarily. But again, we have to talk about what are phase 2 really trying to achieve here with this Ghost composition. We talk about how NRG has the advantage, but what are phase 2 trying to achieve? And that is mainly catching the Winston and the Diva. Because if the Winston uses his sleep, he's stuck for a bit, and that gives you some time to capitalize on his poor positioning. So you need to find some kind of mistake from the side of NRG here.
Yeah, I mean, phase 2 right now, they're going everywhere but the payload, looping around. The problem is, congratulations, you got to the payload. Have you considered looking up at the ceiling? Oh, yes, everyone is there. All right, throw a self-destruct, Kevin, hoping and praying, gonna get anything? No, gets bopped. Kevster catches him off the other side before he can get back into the mech. And this is just ugly. This is brutal, ugly, dirty Overwatch right now that NRG's been doing well, but they got the pick off. NRG still doesn't quite have this here just yet.
And this is actually a very, I don't know what to say, CP. I did not expect them to actually turn this fight. And suddenly we're in a position where they have the positional advantage. NRG still going to have an EMP going into the next fight. Can Kevster find picks on the Widowmaker? That's going to be the crucial key.
We'll have to see. Poise gets the EMP up. Kevster, early pick off. EMP dropped by Poise. Seems really under desperation, though. Poise doesn't get much of it, and suddenly phase 2 finding a way through here. You would have thought, but you see Sinker, 500 HP, Rally still in play. So difficult to deal with Zarya in the situation. Just charged up, melting everything down. Sinker treating NRG to the microwave beam right now. And this, off of Sinker Zarya gameplay, is going to be phase 2 still alive.
Oh, it's very impressive, actually, but honestly, throughout that fight as well, I thought NRG was going to take it. Smix and Stand 1 did a great job at contesting the payload, making some room for Kevster, making sure Kevster had all the time in the world. But as you said, Sinker on that Zarya, the way his damage output just destroyed people on the payload, I mean, they just get the point for free.
Well, now you gotta look to NRG. This has to be shell-shocking. They should have had that there. Now they have to fight back where it's a one-fight margin to lose the series. You see the Ana on the top, gonna open up here. Nano boost directly onto the Reinhardt. Stand 1 moving on forward. Looking for any early pickoff, but Insomniac gonna fall here for the offense. NRG just slowly pushing forward. They use the Nano boost to good effect, and they buy themselves the time they need.
Yeah, but I'm not too worried if I'm phase 2 now. We're going to be close to a lot of big ultimates. The Graviton Surge is going to come up, as well as the Sound Barrier. And it is really all about NRG. What can they do to actually win this fight? They're playing with both the Senor and the Ana, but can they survive through this Moira Quarterfinals?
Oh, the grab's eaten! The grab is eaten! Sinker just donates it to the Diva! But still, phase 2 is in a good spot. They deal Kevster. Self-destruct picks up Byram. We don't need those sticking grabs, says phase 2. As they're getting the 2 early elims, make it 3. NRG on the verge of going to the losers bracket early in the tournament. Coach Michael has perhaps done what's needed as phase 2 defeats NRG in the first round of the Overwatch Beat Invitational. Wow.
That's a wow for sure. Stand 1 is going to get the play of the game, but that's not going to matter. He's going to walk away from this series pretty sad that he lost, but phase 2 on the other hand, I mean, unsigned, and they just sweep an academy team, they must be so happy.
That was unexpected, especially given the fact that NRG, I mean, they had the compositional advantage, they had the positional advantage. Even think about the fight that they ended up losing second on. That started with a self-destruct from Kevin being used for nothing. He died for free, the Kevster. And they end up letting phase 2 back into the fight. Phase 2 ends up taking point B. They end up taking point C even without a Graviton. The Graviton was eaten. And they still won the fight. That's yikes.
But that's a bit of that's what happens as well when you have so much time on point B, because they had 5 minutes to get point B. Eventually NRG is going to do a mistake, and hopefully if you're playing Ghosts, you're going to capitalize on that. And it's exactly what phase 2 did. So because they capped point A so quickly, that bought them some room for mistakes and error on point B. So NRG, I do want to say they played point B very well. You know, they utilized the high ground well. They had great ultimate rotations. Kevster was hitting his shots. But you can't expect to hold for 5 minutes straight. It's just too hard.
Yeah, to your point, I mean, you have to be playing like gods. And the problem is that, are you going to play like gods when you've lost point A that decisively? The answer usually is no. But we have some replays here. Self-destructs, get some good stuff. That feel when you take down the Mercy, almost getting the fire.
Yeah, for sure. And Lijiang Tower was a fun map as well to really see, because it came down to the wire. Both teams playing Goats with the Zenyatta, and so, you know, NRG, they were always in it. By no means was this series a stomp, and so you have to walk away being pretty sad you just didn't win the series. But overall, they're not out of it yet, and knowing NRG, an academy team, they can make a run through the lower bracket.
Yeah, NRG, if there's any team that could get their act together and come back in, it's certainly them. Reminder, you're not out of it if you lose here today. You get your chance for redemption tomorrow. And I would really just focus more on the story that this is some good gameplay coming up for phase 2. And I know we came in prepared the meme about Michael coaching and otherwise, but hey, arguably in a lot of areas strategy-wise, they outperformed NRG. So you know what? I'm willing to be entertained. I'm happy to see what you got.
Yeah, and Sinker impressed a lot throughout this series. Woob as well. Those are a bit of household names, I'd like to say. So this phase 2 squad, it's easy to look down on a lot of these teams participating. They're not that well known. They don't have the greatest following or whatever, but we're seeing a lot of good gameplay coming out. And so going into the next contender season, these are names we're going to see over and over again, CP. So, you know, keep them in mind.
Absolutely. Well, guys, we are going to go to a quick break, but when we come back, let me tell you, do you like goats? It doesn't matter if you don't like goats or not, because the actual team goats is coming back. That's right. The real goats that may or may not be playing goats is going to be taking on Toronto Esports, the academy team of the Boston Uprising. Don't ask me how that works, it just does, but we'll be right back.